Warning: the following program may contain language and other elements that are not suitable for some audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. You've been fucking warned.
I'm gonna put a little salt in the atmosphere. I'm gonna make your mouth perspire. I'm gonna make a little treat guaranteed to be sweet. I'm gonna teach you how to dance with fire. Yeah, baby, let's get dishing. Step into my nutrition kitchen. Hey guys, Johnny Ferro here, and welcome to another episode of Musician Kitchen. Today I am excited as hell because I'm going to show you how to make incredible, ridiculously delicious Carne Asada street tacos. Pretty easy recipe, a lot of fun to play around with, great for the summertime, great for the grill. So to start off with our ingredients here, we have flank steak, cilantro, onion, red bell pepper, lime, fresh garlic. We have some tortillas, we have Pico De Gallo, we have balsamic vinegar, I have coffee here, I have avocado oil, I have cider vinegar, I have my Musician Kitchen Tex-Mex seasoning, salt, black pepper, and brandy. And here's why I say this is fun. By the way, this is about 1 pound to 1.25 pounds of flank steak right in there. And just to give you a little info on this, flank steak, similar to chuck steak or skirt steak, well, not quite as similar to chuck, but similar to skirt steak, fattier cut, little tougher cut, really great for carne asada because you marinate the shit out of it, and it just makes it nice and tender and moistens it up. But you got all the flavor from the fattiness and stuff, and it's just so delectable, right? So what we're going to do to start out is I'm going to take some of my Musician Kitchen Tex-Mex seasoning, and I'm just going to season up with dry rub. I'm going to season up my my meat here and give it a nice generous coating, you know? And then what I'll do is I like to pat it in to really make sure it gets into the meat there. And then we flip Mr. Flank Steak over. Same thing on the bottom. Again, being generous. I mean, you don't want to like have it be like where you're choking on this stuff, but you know, just don't be stingy with it, man. This is freaking awesomeness in a jar right here. And by the way, on the Tex-Mex seasoning, I do have a prior video where I show you how to make that. I'll put that in the description below, but definitely check that video out so you can make your own. It's super easy. It's like, I think, 6 different spices go into it, and they're all pretty basic, ordinary spices. So we're going to set this aside for now. And now I'm going to make my marinade. So for my marinade, well, actually, before I get into any liquids, little prep work here. I am going to do some prep on my garlic. And I'm going to make more than I need for the marinade because I will also be using this. I'm going to make some fajita vegetables to go with the tacos because for street tacos, for me, I'm like, you just got to do that. By the way, I don't know if you see it, but I'm totally missing my garbage can, so don't judge. So I'm going to do probably 3 for the marinade and 2 for the veggies. We're talking cloves of garlic here, right? So, usual method. Little whack on the back, just to get the skins loose. And I'm a little discombobulated today, so I apologize for the disorder in my kitchen. It's just one of those days. Don't take it personal. By the way, for those that don't know, and I feel like most people do, but for any newcomers to the channel anyway, I am, you know, I didn't just call it Musician Kitchen to be clever. I am a musician. I do have a YouTube channel, and I put out videos every week. You know, I've got my own music. I do cover videos, and I would love it if you would check that out. So, by all means, after you're done watching the recipe here, take a little jaunt over there and give me a subscribe if you haven't, and hey, just check it out. Let me know what you think. Leave me a comment or 10, and let me know if you think I'm the greatest thing since sliced bread. Just leave a bunch of bread emojis, and if you think I suck, then, you know, I don't know, leave a bunch of devil emojis or something. I don't know. But have fun with that. And I'll put the link to one of my videos, by the way, in the description as well to make it nice and easy for you to find me. I have got to get this rocking thing fixed on this cutting board. It's driving me nuts. It's on the list of things to do. All right, and I'm going mince on this, you know, as I usually do when I'm doing garlic. It's pretty rare that I leave my garlic bigger than mince. I'm trying to think what recipes I would even do that with. Probably like some kind of like for pasta sauce, I'll do that sometimes. All right. So that right there is about what we like, just to give you a little idea. And I'm going to put, I have a mixing cup here, so I'm going to put about a third of, about 3/5 of this in there. And I'm going to put the rest in a little resealable bowl here, and it's going to go in the fridge. By the way, we're doing all of our prep now, including the marinade and getting the meat marinating. We're going to have our meat marinate overnight. So this is a recipe you want to actually start the day before. Ideally, I mean, you can do it with marinating your meat for like 2-3 hours and you'll get the flavor. The thing is, with meat like this, you really need to marinate it long to tenderize it, to get it, otherwise it'll just come out too tough, you know? The other thing with this too, and by the way, is that typically I will not cook a steak above like medium rare, maybe medium, you know? To me, anything above that is kind of blasphemy. And if you cook your steak well done, well, I'll pray for you. You know, in the exception to that is when you're doing things like chuck steak or flank steak, like this kind of stuff, because of the fact that they are a tougher meat and you need to cook them longer to get them breaking down. You know, it's different. Like if you're doing like, you know, if you're doing carpaccio or steak tartare where you're eating the stuff raw or super like barely seared, you need a super tender cut of meat. It can't have a lot of fat in it. And you're generally, you know, or if you're doing like, you know, if you're grilling ribeyes or strip steaks, then you know you can get away with just giving it a really good sear and char on the outside but keeping the inside nice and pink. A cut like this, you really have to cook it through to break down, you know, the tendons and the fats and everything. Otherwise it's just too tough to eat. So this is the one of the very rare exceptions where I will cook my meat. I usually do these between medium and medium well. I still don't do them well done, but you can, and I'll forgive you for that, you know. But anyway, just a little data on that. Now we're going to do limes. We got 2 limes here. And by the way, the other thing to note too is that we're going to go for about, to get this to somewhere around like 1.5 cups of liquid, maybe 2 cups max, which this is a 2-cup measuring cup. So if I went over 2 cups, I'd be kind of fucked anyway. We're just going to juice these all in here. And I always err on the side of having more marinade than I need. A, you can baste with it when you're grilling. And B, it really sucks when you run out of it or don't have enough of it, and then you like either got to make more or just kind of, you know, live with what you got, and it's just not as good. So we're just getting all the juice out of these bad boys. By the way, while I'm doing this, guys, man, I'm like on the promotional bandwagon today. I'm sorry, but the other thing too is that I do have a merch line. I know I've mentioned this before, but it's a really fun merch line. I need to add to it because I think I'm going to do a line of Let's Get Dishin' merch. Let me know in the comments below if you'd like to see that, by the way. A little bit of merch that says Let's Get Dishin' on it, as I kind of like that from the intro. I think that'll be a fun catchphrase. But then I also have like some Musician Kitchen logo merch, and then I also have a line of Fuck Beefsteak Tomato merch, which is a lot of fun. So let me, you know, check that out. Again, link is in the description on that. But yeah, give that a look. All right, now we're going to do some black coffee. Now, this is just French press coffee, and it's been sitting in the fridge all day. So it's like really strong, been sitting in the ground. So I will use coffee and marinades. It's fun. By the way, my marinades, I don't really plan these things. You know, I kind of go into the fridge and see what I have that'll taste good and that I think will be good together, right? So the black coffee, I'm going to do probably a 1/4 to 1/2 cup, something like that. And that will give a little bit, it'll bring out the earthiness in the meat, the depth. It'll just bring out all the depth from the meat. It really complements the beef nicely. Okay. I'm going to throw some brandy in there. Now, the brandy, basically all the alcohol is going to cook off. So if you think you're going to get drunk eating this shit, calm the fuck down. No, you're not. But I'm going to put about the same amount, about like 1/4 to 1/2 cup. And what the brandy will do is add a little sweetness. Now, normally I would do maple syrup or honey in the marinade. I just like to do that. I was out. So I was in my fridge. What do I have that'll give me some sweetness? Well, there was this giant fucking bottle of brandy that I only ever cook with because I'm not really a drinker. So there you go. So about quarter cup to half cup, that'll give you a little bit of sweetness, right? Next, we're going to do a little bit of balsamic vinegar. I'm going to probably do like teaspoon and a half. Cider vinegar. The balsamic is again going to be to complement the meat, bring out flavors in the meat, add a little bit of sweetness. The cider vinegar is going to add a little bit of tartness. And again, about a teaspoon of that. A little avocado oil. And we are, by the way, sitting at about 1 1/8 to 1 1/4 cups. I'm going to do about a quarter to a half cup of this. I'm not super exact on this stuff, right? Obviously, as you can see. So I'm actually just about 1 1/4 cups. You know, it's fine. I'm going to put a little more coffee in here, I think, to top off. So that's about 1 1/3 cups right now, right? And again, I'm just kind of riffing on this, right? So like when I do my marinades, again, I'm just kind of fucking around and having fun with things that I know are going to taste good together, right? It's just one of those things you get good at. I mean, you can do this as written. Like I said, you can leave the brandy out. You can leave any one of these things out if you want to. You know, and like I said, for the brandy and the balsamic vinegar, you could leave those out and you could throw some maple syrup in, and that would give you some depth and some smokiness and bring out some other flavors and bring some sweetness in to be really good, right? For example, so just have fun with your marinades. And if you do a marinade recipe that comes out really good, let me know. I want to know because I like trying that stuff out. And then keeping in mind we have our garlic in there too. Now normally I would do like a salt and pepper thing with my marinade, but we've already got our meat with our dry rub on it, and I don't really want to mess with that. Like that is where the seasoning is going to come from. So what I'm going to do with this now is I'm going to go ahead and put the meat. This is a gallon freezer bag. You can also use like a sealable like bowl, you know, with like a lid on it, right? So on into there. And then I'm just using a fork here to kind of mix this stuff up a little bit. And then we're just going right in the bag. Like so. Seal her up. Now I will, just because I get a little paranoid, I will still put this in like a bowl, right? So I have this bowl here. I'll just have this sitting in here. So now this is going to go in the fridge, and it's going to sit in the fridge overnight. So at least 12 hours. So like my time right now, it's about 9:30 at night, right? So this will actually sit until dinner time tomorrow. You can let this sit for a day. You can even let it sit for 2 days. I wouldn't go much beyond that, just because you have a lot of acidity in here and it could start doing weird things to your meat. But ideal is somewhere between 12 and 24 hours is really good. You don't really want to let it go less than 12 hours. Again, you need to give this time for the marinade to do its thing and get the meat nice and tender. So I'm going to pop this in the fridge here. And again, I'll be coming back to it at dinner time tomorrow, which will end up being about 18 hours or so. Actually, more like 20 hours. So it'll be close to the 24-hour mark, right? And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to get ahead on my prep. And this is something that I'll just do because my days are busy. You know, I produce and I do my music and I do writing, and then I also help my wife with her business. So I got shit to do during the day. You know what I mean? So when I come home, sometimes it's like right before dinner time. So it really is helpful to have all this stuff just kind of ready for me, right? So start with my onion. And I'm going with the whole onion. I have a large onion here. You can do half of this, or you can do a medium onion instead of a large onion. As y'all know by now, I really like onions. So I'm going with a large onion. And I don't care how many people cry for me over it. It's just going to happen. So again, cut in half, pull skin off. Kind of the usual onion method of mine. And I'm just, like I said, I don't really give a shit mood today. So I'm like just kind of, stuff hits the floor when I'm trying to get it in the garbage can. You know, I'm just not going to worry about it. I'm no Michael Jordan, you know what I mean? And again, we're just doing our usual like julienne cut. This is like about there. This is like 1/4 inch or so. Popping these into our bowl here. And I'll just break them up a little bit too, just to break them up so that when they go into the pan, they'll be a little easier to work with. Then, got me a red bell pepper. And typically, like if I was doing peppers and onions with sausage, I'd use 2 bell peppers. To me, the onions are really what make the street taco as far as the fajita veg goes. I just do the peppers because I like them for a little extra flavor, but it's not really part of... I don't very often see street tacos that have this. The onions are pretty constant, though. So I do add a little bit of this, and I cut them. You know, I'm doing like half-inch-ish thickness on these for a nice julienne cut. And then cutting in half. And then doing the same with this half. After, obviously you guys saw, I pulled the hearts out of these guys. Kalimo! And I'll tell you, one day I'm going to have a house with like a huge kitchen and with counters that don't fucking rock or make any noise. And it's going to be glorious. Just tossing this in here. You know, we still got a fair amount of peppers, but it's not as much as I would usually have, like I said, if I was doing like sausage with peppers and onions, for example. So that's going into the fridge. My fridge has got so much stuff in it, it's kind of silly. All right. And last but not least, oh, and here's my garlic. I'll toss that in the fridge now while I'm thinking of it. And now we're going to chop up our cilantro. And cilantro is really just kind of like coarse chop. I'm not getting too crazy on it. And by the way, I don't typically pull the stems off unless there's like something wrong with them, you know? Like here there's a little bit of... I'm not really pulling the stem off, just pulling a couple of crappy sections off. But otherwise, I generally speaking leave the stem intact because there's actually quite a bit of flavor in the stem of cilantro and other herbs. And I like that. Now, if you don't like that and you want to take the time to just pull the leaves away and then chop that, be my guest. I won't tell anybody, and I won't judge you, at least not to your face. All right. And just again tossing this into a sealable container. Very important with cilantro, by the way, and with any kind of like leafy herb or vegetable. You want to keep them in a drawer in the fridge if you can, and definitely have them sealed in some way, because they are delicate, and if they get too much direct exposure to cold air, they get gross. They get, they get like bruised spots, and they get slimy, and it's just fucking gross. So anyway, that's all my prep here. Very simple. So I'm just going to go ahead and kind of toss, everything else back in the fridge and do my dishes and let this sit overnight. And then I'll be back tomorrow at dinner time to put all this shit together out by the grill. And it's going to be fucking glorious. Stay tuned. All right, guys, so we're back. My meat has been marinating. It's about, by the way, about 5:45, 6 o'clock right now, my time. And I started this about, I think, 9 o'clock last night was when I was working on it. So that would be 12, 6, so about... I don't know, like 20 hours, 21 hours, something like that. My meat's been marinating. I'll show you, it's in the bag. It's just been chilling in the fridge all night. I took a whiff of it earlier. It smells freaking incredible. I'm so excited. So what I'm gonna do here to get started, before I do anything, is I'm gonna go ahead and clean my grill off real quick. Shouldn't be too bad because I actually cleaned it off after the last thing that I did. Let's do a little quick clean in oil. Got me some avocado oil spray from Trader Joe's. I'm turning my heat down to low for this because I don't want to burn my goddamn face off. Inevitably, we'll still get some flare up. That's okay. And it looks like I'm just about out just in time. Okay, spectacular. All right, bringing this back up to high heat. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my meat and I'm just going to dump it into this bowl here just for a little bit easier access. And just, take a look at that. I mean, that is like the perfect cut of meat for asada. I mean, it's just gorgeous. It's nice, and you can see that the acids in the marinade have started to break this down a little bit. It's kind of started to, I mean, technically, it's almost like the lime and the vinegars, they almost start to cook it a little bit, so which is fine. I mean, that's good. That's for this kind of a cut of meat, that's what you want. So now, keeping my grill on high heat, I'm gonna go ahead and drop Mr. Flank Steak right on that grill. Oh my God, the smell of this hitting me in the face is like heaven. So what I'm gonna do here now with this, I'm gonna let it roll. You know, I'm gonna do like 3 to 5 minutes per side, something like that, and I'll do my cross hatch thing where I'll let it go like 2.5 minutes, turn it a quarter turn, 2.5 minutes, flip and do the same thing, and then from there on in, I'll go ahead and we'll just flip it and we'll start doing the basting and lower heat cooking to really cook this stuff through. So I'm actually going to kind of power through and hyperlapse this a little bit just so you're not stuck like waiting, but you can still see what's going on while I'm doing it. So guys, hang with me for the hyperlapse and I'll be right back to get you rolling on getting this to the next phase. Stay tuned. Alright guys, so we're back. This has been on here. We did about like 4 to 5 minutes per side with quarter turns around the 2.5 minute mark. So right now, this is looking gorgeous, okay? So I'm gonna drop this down. So everything's gonna go down to like a medium-low heat, right? I'm gonna flip this guy over, see how we're looking on this side. Oh yeah! Woo! Alright, so what we're gonna do now is I got myself a little silicone basting brush over here. We're gonna brush a little bit of this marinade on here and get as much flavory goodness onto this bad boy as we can, being very, very generous with the marinade because, you know, why wouldn't you be? Stuff is like liquid gold, man. Now, by the way, this is a fairly thick piece of skirt steak, or of flank steak rather. You know, oftentimes the asada steak or the flank steak, it will sometimes be thinner. So just kind of bear that in mind, you know, being that this is thicker, I'm going for more like the full 5 or so minutes per side, and then I'll be cooking this, you know, I'll probably be doing like rounds of 5 minutes, right? If you got thinner flank steak, you don't need to do that much. You can sear for like 3 minutes per side and then do like 3 or 4 minute rounds under cover while you're cooking this. Okay, so I'm gonna get this covered. I'm gonna have it on there. Like I said, I'm gonna let it go for about 5 minutes. In the meantime, I'm gonna get my fajita vegetables motherfucking rolling on this bizacch. By the way, guys, if you didn't notice, you probably did because you're all pretty intelligent and this is pretty obvious, but I decided to go a little bit on the informal side today. I basically got home from working at my wife's office helping out Mixed Media Girl, and we're just all hungry, so I didn't worry about the whole chef coat thing. I just was like, fuck it, let's roll, you know? So now, throwing a little oil in our pan here. This is avocado oil. I'm being generous. That's probably like 2 tablespoons or so. And we got the heat on high, by the way. And if you remember from yesterday, from earlier in this video for you, I did pre-cut all my vegetables, which is the other reason that the chef's coat, I wasn't too worried in the apron. I'm like, all my shit's pre-cut. I'm not gonna be making too much of a mess. All the messy work is kind of done, right? So I got my vegetables there. I'm just gonna let my oil go a little bit longer before adding them. And I have this little side table over here, you know, I just brought everything outside. It's kind of fun to do that, you know, bring your kitchen outside. My kitchen won't be so messy, there'll be dishes at the end, but you know, that'll be super easy. So I've had my oil on for about a minute now on high. So I'm gonna go ahead and add my vegetables. And you can hear the sizzles happening. And we're gonna go ahead and do a little salt and pepper. So, and this, by the way, you'll see is very similar to how I do the vegetables for, that I did the vegetables for my Italian sausage. It's about 1.5 teaspoons or so of salt. About 1 teaspoon of pepper. And we'll just give these guys a little toss. I tell you, if you can get a grill with a side burner, these things are so great. And then you can kind of just keep your eye on everything all at once, right? Grab me a little wooden spoon here. Sorry if my camera shakes, by the way. I have a really sucky deck. And the boards are all loose and crap like that. And so if I walk too heavily or move too fast, you know, things can kind of get weird on the, as far as the sound and everything. So, yeah, there you go. And oh man, this smells so good. It's a simple thing, you know, these vegetables, these side veggies, but I tell you what, man, they really do make this dish. And again, traditionally, I really don't see, it's usually onions for street tacos for the most part. For me though, I like them with the bell pepper. To me, it just tastes so much better adding that one little thing. Yeah, it's really just a preference. You can totally just do onions or do nothing at all. Also common with street tacos is it'll be just like some minced raw onion with some cilantro mixed in. That's another thing that you'll see a lot on the street taco circuit. It's all kind of delicious, so it really is whatever your preference is, right? And by the way, while we're letting this stuff go, wine pairing. I tell you what, sangria is beautiful with this. Nice, light, fruity summer wine, very sweet. Very refreshing and fantastic with street tacos. Or if you want something a little heavier, go with the port wine. I mean, that'll be definitely, it's definitely a heavier wine. It's definitely got more of a punch to it. But again, it would be delicious with something like this. But again, you know, with any kind of steak or steak taco, your general rule is red. You know, this isn't like, I mean, yes, it's steak, but it's not like a big heavy steak dinner. It's not a big heavy Italian pasta meal. So I wouldn't go with like a Chianti or like even a Cab Sav would be probably a little too heavy for this. I wouldn't go any heavier than like a Merlot or maybe a Shiraz. But again, my idea with this would be a sangria, or if you want to really feel it and get a little bit heavier of a taste and a little heavier of a feel on your wine, go with the port wine. It'd be fantastic with this. Tossing. You know, I'll just do periodic tosses on this. I'm keeping it on high heat. I'm going to go ahead and flip over my meat now. It's been roughly 5 minutes since we last did our baste. A little more marinade on there. Get in my mouth, motherfucker. And again, be generous with this stuff, because this is, I mean, number one, it'll just keep the meat staying nice and juicy and moist and tender, and it's so much flavor. Flav. So there you go, guys. I'm actually gonna, so this is gonna be on for another 5 minutes, and I'll do 2 more rounds of 5 minutes. Like I said with this, normally with a steak sort of meat, I would not cook it more than medium, and typically I'd go medium rare or less, because this is such, it's a tougher cut of meat, and that's by, it's intentional. You know, it's a tougher cut of meat. It's a fattier cut of meat. You really do have to cook it to a medium well or well done. Otherwise, it's just going to be too tough to eat. And that's why the juices, that's why the marinade is so important to keeping the tenderness and the moisture into it, keeping some nice flavors into it. And it does actually help to hold the flavor of the meat itself together and in the meat too. Because if you know, if you're cooking something well done, you really are losing a bunch of the flavor of the meat unless you do this. You do a nice, beautiful marinade. The marinade actually will pull some of the meat flavors out and then hold them in within the moisture of the marinade, which is a little pro tip for you. But anyway, guys, so I'm gonna roll on this, okay? So I got 5 minutes, and then I'll flip 5, and then flip 5, and then we should be done at that point. So I'm not gonna make you sit through that. So stay tuned. I'm gonna bring you back when I'm pulling it off after my last turn. See you then. So hey guys, one thing I had forgotten about, and by the way, it's time to turn this guy again, but I had forgotten I also need to do, oh God, look at that. That smells so incredible. I know I say that like every time I open the grill, but it's really true. One thing I had forgotten about, and that I'm bringing you back for now, is it's time to add my garlic and my balsamic vinegar to my veggies, which, you know, is something, again, this is pretty much the same stuff I do when I add, vegetables for my sausage, but it also works very nicely with this dish. And again, it basically is a fajita vegetable, you know. Covering that up, I'm gonna turn this down to a low, medium low rather. Now I'm going to do a little ring of oil in the middle here, my little technique. And adding my garlic that was freshly chopped last night in all of its glory. I'm going to let that sit for about 60 seconds, and then I'll add my vinegar. And by the way, while I'm waiting on that, just a note, I know I talked early in the episode, I think or last episode or something, I can't even fucking remember, but about merch for Musician Kitchen. Well, I also have Johnny Ferro merch, which I'm rocking right here now. So if you go to johnnyferro.com, if you haven't seen my music, by all means, when you have a chance, I actually just released a video yesterday, a music video that my wife Mixed Media Girl was actually in. A video we did a while ago for my song 121 Days, which I did with my old band No Convention. But this is some merch. And then, just check it out and check out my music. I would just love to know what you guys think of it. Just doing a little splash or two of balsamic vinegar here and a little toss. I'm just going to let that kind of chill on the heat for a minute, and that's really it for the vegetables. Oh, yeah. But anyway, yeah, so I got music videos, I got recorded music, I got some fun pictures. Actually, there's my Instagram page links to there. So, there's a lot there for you to check out. I'm going to turn this off, by the way, because these vegetables are more than fine. But yeah, so I would really appreciate it, actually, if you checked it out. Check out my YouTube page, which is youtube.com/JohnnyFerro. I really love getting feedback on how you guys like what I do, not only on this cooking channel and these videos, but, if you are so inclined, check out my music. I would just love to know what you think, And those are my two art forms, music and cooking. So if I'm winning in life at both of those and you guys are happy with them, then to me that's like the keys to the kingdom. That makes me happy, right? So okay, cool. So my vegetables are done. My meat's been on. I just flipped it and it's been on for another 2-3 minutes. So I'm gonna let it go another 2-3 minutes, and then like I said, flip one or two more times, and then we'll be back for the final product. So stay tuned for that. All right, guys. So we're back. This has been on here. I did 4 rounds of 5 minutes, 2 per side. I'm just gonna get this onto a cutting board now, but look at this damn thing, oh my God. Get in my mouth. I want you in there right now. Oh, I'm just so mind blown. So what I'm gonna do here now is I'm gonna get some tortillas ready. And these are, just get whatever one you like. This is a corn and wheat blend tortilla, but my wife will oftentimes eat just flour, or I'll eat just corn, and, it's kind of whatever you like, And the flour ones are nice. They tend to be a little rubbery and they don't break up as much. The corn ones can be a little bit more touchy. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put them on the grill for about a minute, 30 seconds per side-ish. And that should help handle some of that. While I'm doing that, I'm kind of intentionally doing that first to let this meat rest a little bit. You should probably really let it rest for 5 to 10 minutes. I'm just not that patient. So I'm going to have it up here, and then I'm just going to kind of do my tortillas, and then that'll give it at least 2-3 minutes to rest or something, right, for the juices to redistribute. Being as well done as it is, there will be less internal juice to distribute. The moisture will be maintained by the marinade, but it's not like when you have a super juicy like a medium rare steak, so to speak. So taking these, I'm just leaving my grill just where it is, on actually I'm going to turn it up to high for this, come to think of it. And I'm just going to throw my tortillas right on. Right on there. And I'm actually going to probably leave them on for closer to 45 seconds-ish per side, only because, and I'll keep an eye on them of course, but only because, when you're on a pan on a stove, it's closer contact to the immediate heat source. They're a little farther from the heat here, and I do want them to warm up enough that they don't crack when we go to try to use them and eat them. So it's been on here. These are going nice. So they're about right now. It's been about 30, 40 seconds, something like that. Get over here, you little bugger. Flip. And flip. Oh, good. This is so like my jam, you know what I'm saying? So these are about good now. My heat's kicking up a little bit, but you know, these are probably about where they need to be. So, let's grab them off the heat. And yeah, being corn, they're not going to be quite as pliable as your usual just plain flour would be, but they'll do just fine for sure. All right, so now, Carne Asada time, bitches. So, using my tongs, so I don't burn my hands off holding this stuff in place. You can see here, actually here, let me do this. I'll show you what the middle of this looks like. So this is about a medium well, right? Maybe just edging toward being medium, right? This is about where you want it for something like this, right? And I'm just gonna go ahead. Well, first what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna taste this. Oh my God. Oh, so good. It's got a Tabasco-y kind of flavor, if you're into that. I'm just cutting these into strips, you know. They don't need to be super thin, but, you know, I wouldn't go more than like somewhere between 1/4 and 1/2 inch. And then I'm going to go ahead and dice these up. Nice little bite-sized pieces. This, by the way, is one of Mixed Media Girl's favorite meals, in case anyone's ever wondering. If she's ever at your house or you're ever having an event and you want to get her there, serve tacos. She'll be there, I assure you. So, all right, take a little of this stuff onto the taco shell. And I like a healthy serving of meat on my taco myself. Then we got veggies, fajita veggies. A little of that on top. Might have gotten a little too happy with the veggies there, but is there really such a thing? I mean, honestly. Then, now by the way, if you want, you know, people put different stuff on tacos. You want radishes on your tacos. You want to throw sour cream on your tacos. You can do whatever you want. You know what I mean? Whatever makes you happy. For these, I'm just going to keep it simple. I got a little Pico De Gallo to go on here. Now, other pro tip, if you have a Mixed Media Girl over for tacos, she does like sour cream on her tacos, as well as Pico De Gallo and salsa. Just a little, again, fun fact, if you're ever having her over, the way to her heart is through her stomach, I assure you. All right, and then we got a little bit. I did actually end up slicing up some lime. I had some extra lime, so I'm going to do a twist of lime. And then a little cilantro. And that right there is really all there is to it. You got some dynamite street tacos. These are guaranteed to please, I assure you. So guys, I really hope you love this recipe. Let me know what you thought of it in the comments below. If you try it, let me know how you liked it. If you do some different stuff with it that you get really good results with, or you're really enthusiastic about, you like the way it came out and it's different than this, drop a comment. I love, love, love hearing about stuff like that, and it gives me ideas too, you know. Again, I do have my music channel. Check it out along with my music, you know, or with my cooking. Music is the other passion of mine. Music is really the #1 passion, and cooking is, you know, it's a close second, you know. These are my creative outlets. I love putting content out in both places for you. I'll make sure there's a link to my music channel and my website and everything in the description below. But check that out. Check out my latest video. Check out my merch lines. If you've seen the grabs, you just by all means pick up some merch. And you know, I try to keep it fun for the people that are watching and that are enjoying my content. So guys, until next video, I'm Johnny Ferro. Have an amazing, amazing rest of your week. Have a delicious rest of your week, and I will see you guys on the next video. Mwah.